Welcome to This Week in MMA, brought to you by Half the Battle. I'm your host, as always, Daniel Levy. Today, we got a lot of news to get into. But firstly, I want to give a huge shout out to everyone that checked out last week's episode. I know there was a huge controversy with the TJ versus DJ stuff. But listen, man, the truth hurts. And I learned that these hard to swallow pills get a lot of reactions. But I'm not going to look you guys in the eye with a straight face and lie to you. I'm only going to tell you the truth, whether it's easy or hard to take.
You want Ray Borg? We'll give you Ray Borg.
So just know that. That's what you're going to get. So let's get down to business. So UFC Tampa just wrapped up, and in the main event, Joaquin Buckley put an absolute beatdown on Colby Covington to the point where the doctor had to step in and stop the fight. Now, obviously, Dana said that had this fight been in Vegas, they wouldn't have stopped it. But Dana also said it didn't seem like Colby was too pissed off that that fight got stopped. Well, at the time, he wasn't that pissed off. But ever since then, Colby's been making some insane excuses. Listen to this.
So, I know that there's still a lot of fight in me, and the best is yet to come. I was just getting warmed up in that fight. I think it was tied up 1-1, and I was starting to wear on him. I could see him breathing out of his mouth. I was starting to catch him on more shots. So it's unfortunate that they stopped it. Even Dana came out and said if that was in Vegas, that would have never been stopped. So
hold on. It was 1-1. Hey, Colby, all three judges unanimously had it 2-0 for Joaquin Buckley. Not only that, every time that Joaquin Buckley got taken down, the few times that happened, he immediately popped back up. And again, Dana saying that in Vegas, it would have continued. Dana also said Colby didn't look pissed one bit that the fight got stopped.
I took his hardest shots, and they weren't nothing. They didn't faze me at all. I was walking right down. So we'll come back stronger. It's a lesson.
When the cut happened, what happened?
Yeah, so, we came in, in close contact, and I felt like there was a headbutt, and
headbutt now? Like, come on, man. But it didn't stop there. Colby also had Chael yes-manning him. Check this out.
Oh, my goodness, that was a fight. Oh, my goodness, Colby. Man.
Not bad for no training camp.
Not bad at all.
Yeah.
Not bad at all. Your kicks were on point tonight. Yeah. He hit you with his, but those were hard shots. Yeah. And it was hard for anybody to see because you just took him. And even us on the corner, we're going, that's got it. Well, I guess it didn't hurt. He's still going forward.
Yeah.
And you take that, you even got your head stuck in the middle, but you were working your way out, got your hands locked. It was great. Everything was going great. The tide was turning. That does not count. I do not accept that.
Yeah.
Not at all, man. That was a great fight, and you fought really hard. You're probably looking at the bonus on that for the night.
Yeah. Where do we start? The tide was turning. You're probably looking at a bonus. Like what? I get consoling your fighter and trying to be there for them, but this is the ultimate yes man stuff coming out of Chael's mouth. And Chael's the man, but be honest with your fighter. I get it. The cameras were running, but it didn't stop there. Colby took it to another level of excuses. Listen to this one.
I'm going to come back stronger from this. I'm not going to let this define me. It's one fight, and I'm more than just a fighter. I'm going to let this fuel me. I'm going to get a full training camp. Came on short notice. This is for the company. This is for the fans. This wasn't a full training camp. I was campaigning with Trump, getting him ready. I wasn't even in the training room. I came off the couch on 2.5 weeks notice. So, it's a tough.
I was campaigning with Trump, getting him ready. That's why you lost the fight. Did Trump even thank you for anything related to his victory? Are you claiming some kind of prize for Trump's victory? Look, let me tell y'all something. I have a group chat with all my best friends, right? And half of them voted for Trump, half of them voted for Biden, right? And we talk all kinds of shit to each other. Never once was there a scenario where someone in the group chat shared something from Colby Covington and was like, you know what? Colby really made a good point. Now I'm going to go vote for Trump. We already knew who we were voting for. So for Colby to act like he had any impact on that election, and that's why he lost the fight, not because Joaquin Buckley sprawled on, 8 of 10 of your takedown attempts. It's because you were helping Trump campaign. That's why you lost the fight.
Congratulations. You played yourself.
It's really unreal, man. The only thing to take away from this is that Colby Covington is no longer a top 5 guy, no longer a top 10 guy. He doesn't have a single win over anyone currently ranked in the top 15. He hasn't won a fight in 3 years. The sport moves on. Colby was once the young guy taking out the old lions, the Robbie Lawlers, the RDAs, et cetera, Jorge Masvidal. Now he's the hunted. Now the young lions are coming after him. And it's unfortunate for Colby because he doesn't have that signature win to really show for it. Every single person he beat was on their way out. And that's not me discrediting him. That's me spitting facts. Just like the TJ DJ stuff. Y'all thought that I was talking shit about DJ. No, I wasn't. I'm literally telling you what happened. And this is the story of Colby Covington's career. So it's very unfortunate for him. And now when he comes back, it's like, are we going to feed you to another young, hungry killer like Michael Morales, like Carlos Prates, or are we going to give you a senior divisions fight against like a Wonder Boy or a Gilbert Burns? So let's see which direction the UFC going with Colby Covington. But as far as Joaquin Numansa Buckley, kid, you did a great job. You did exactly what you were supposed to do. And I know that he really wanted to steal the title shot from Shafkat, and I think an emphatic knockout. You never know what would have happened, but with the doctor stoppage, it was still a very impressive performance. You called out Leon. You called out Usman. You called out Belal. I've heard rumors that Leon is possibly fighting Sean Brady, and I've also heard the same rumors that y'all have heard that Belal and Shafkat are going to run it sometime next year. So the only thing with Joaquin and Usman is that I heard the rumors about JDM calling out Usman too. But then again, Carlos Prates has been calling out JDM. So maybe Prates, if Prates gets the Jack Della Maddalena fight, then I can see Buckley getting the Usman fight. But it's going to be very intriguing to see which way the UFC matchmakers go with the welterweight division in 2025. One of the most amazing things that happened at UFC Tampa was seeing UFC Hall of Famer Cub Swanson at 41 years of age, still putting it on the young guns and going out in emphatic fashion in what possibly could have been Cub Swanson's retirement fight. Look what he just did to Billy Q. Just a nasty 3-2, man. I mean, no follow-up necessary. Look how Cub just lunges himself into that right hand and just puts Billy Q down. And, you know, we're huge fans of Billy Q over here at the Half the Battle podcast, but listen, we just got to call it objectively. That was a sick knockout. And when you see a legend like Cub Swanson go out in that fashion, you truly have to shed a tear for a guy like that who's shed so much blood inside the octagon for entertainment, not just dating back to the Doo Ho Choi fight. You know that this man, Cub Swanson, has wins over Dustin Poirier, over Charles do Bronx Oliveira. Obviously, the Doo Ho Choi fight, which put him in the Hall of Fame. And Saturday night going out with that Billy Q KO, if that was Cub Swanson's last fight, thank you, Cub Swanson, for everything you've given to the sport. You're a true legend. You're an amazing ambassador for the sport. And we hope that the transition to the next part of your life and career is one that's seamless and peaceful and brings you a lot of joy. Because how could you want to go out on that note, you know, when you still clearly you can still compete with these guys in the featherweight division? Why wouldn't you want to come back? But the thing about it is you stick around long enough and bad things start happening to your favorite fighters. So I truly hope Cubs people let them know that, hey man, it doesn't get any better than that. That's how you walk out on top. But again, Cubs in a great situation. If he wants to come back for one more, hey, by all means, like you clearly showed, you still got it. But if he wants to go out on that note, tip that proverbial cap to the legend Cub Swanson. Thank you. And Billy Q, keep your head up. You'll be back. So a reporter at MMA Fighting tried to tempt Cub with the possibility of a Doo Ho Choi rematch from their Hall of Fame war. Check out what Cub Swanson said regarding that.
A lot of people, you mentioned Doo Ho Choi, are saying that if you do have one more fight, they'd love to see you run it back with Doo Ho Choi. Any interest in that? Would that be one of those fights that would bring you back for one more, or do you feel like there's no way we could top the first one?
That one's possible. Although he looked amazing in his last fight, and it makes me want to sit back and relax a little bit. But I just know the fans would be ecstatic for that one, so that one would be hard to say no to. But yeah, we'll see.
I thought that was a good question by Mike Heck. Shout out Mike Heck on the great question. And you could see Cub Swanson, even at 41 years of age, he's a fighter through and through. And who wouldn't be open to that rematch? Personally, with how Doo Ho looked against Landwehr, I say you just leave it at your incredible Hall of Fame war in 2016. No need to have a rematch. But if they want to have a rematch, you bet your ass I'll be watching with popcorn and my feet up. You know who else looked absolutely sensational at UFC Tampa? Manel Kape. And honestly, I thought that performance over Bruno Silva was enough to warrant a title shot against Alexandre Pantoja. Dana said he needs one more, but we'll see how negotiations go. But regardless, look what Manel Kape did to Bruno Silva the other night. I mean, just the speed. He had Bruno Silva not even knowing what was coming from which direction. It was like that scene in Rush Hour, like, which one of y'all hit me with that, you know? And when Manel is on his game, he truly might be the best flyweight on planet Earth. You just need that consistency from a guy like Manel Kape. You want to see Manel put on a nice win streak, not have any off nights. And man, when he's on his game, it's just truly beautiful to watch. So I want to see Manel Kape get that title shot against Alexandre Pantoja. Like, what else are we going to do? A fourth Moreno fight? A third Brandon Royval fight? Sign some other dude from Japan? Like what are we going to do? Re-sign Mokaev? No one wants to watch him fight. It's time for the Alexandre Pantoja versus Manel Kape rematch for the UFC flyweight title. Book it. I also want to give a huge shout out to Dustin Jacoby snapping his skid in emphatic fashion against the half the battle 2023 rookie of the year Vitor Petrino. Petrino now on a 2-fight skid against some seasoned vets. Look at what Dustin Jacoby did the other night. So boom, just a straight right, put him out. No contest, no protest, no nothing. And the thing that's insane about that was that Dustin was like 1 minute away from losing the fight. He was very clearly on his way to losing a unanimous decision. All Vitor had to do was just survive that last minute, 20 seconds, couldn't do it. And now Dustin Jacoby back on track. That's exactly what he needed. He was on a 1-4 run where it was looking like, hey, maybe he's at the twilight of his career. Maybe he still is, but either way, he just injected big life back into his career. And now it's going to be another big fight for Dustin Jacoby. You're still on the UFC roster. And for Vitor Petrino, look, the kid's only 26, 27 years old. Go back to the drawing board. He's still got plenty of fight left in him. Take a little bit of time off. Enjoy the holidays with your family. Vitor Petrino will be back. These are the things that happen when you're a 25, 26, 27-year-old getting thrown in there with all these experienced, seasoned top 15 guys that have been there, done that. No one is exempt from paying dues in the UFC. 2024 was a dues-paying year for Vitor Petrino, but do not give up on him. I think that as long as he's got the right team around him, they get his head right, they give him the right amount of time off, he comes back. I still think Vitor Petrino can do some stuff, but no one is exempt from paying dues, and that's exactly what's been happening to Vitor Petrino in 2024. And some other shouts for UFC Tampa, Joel Alvarez, he looked phenomenal. I think we got to get him in the top 15. Sean Woodson, man. Sean Woodson, I've been saying for a long time, is a matchup problem at featherweight. That size is so tough to deal with. And one other shout, Felipe Lima. That's a kid we got to keep our eye out for in 2025. And what's interesting about Felipe Lima, he's not even fought at his normal weight class in the UFC. Both of his UFC fights have been at 145. This guy's a 35er. I can't wait to see his UFC bantamweight debut. So keep your eyes on Felipe Lima. So regarding the Cub Swanson fight, another UFC legend and future Hall of Famer, Dustin Poirier, shared his thoughts on what went down. And this was a very, very wholesome exchange. You know, Dustin called Cub a legend. Cub did the Spider-Man point at you. I'm a legend, you're a legend, you know. And then Billy Q at the bottom said, dude can throw. You know, that was a very wholesome exchange by the Diamond Dustin Poirier, by Cub Swanson, by Billy Q, you know, taking the L in stride and you know, having a good head on his shoulders. So you just love to see stuff like that. And I hope that this inspires the younger generation that you don't have to be macho man. You can be classy, you can show respect, and you can be a good person. So shout out Dustin Poirier, Cub Swanson, and Billy Q for this wholesome exchange. So on this day in 2010, 14 years ago, Anthony Pettis landed the legendary Showtime kick against Benson Henderson. And this is one of those moments that truly revolutionized the sport. We had never even seen anything remotely close to that when it happened. And I remember vividly watching that WEC event at a friend's house. It was either early college or late high school, and everybody went crazy when it happened. And that kick is so historic that a lot of people actually think it was a knockout. They don't even know that the fight ended up going to decision because all they see is that knockdown, which was incredible. I mean, look at it, dude. Like, he just jumps off the, oh my God. Like, we all thought he kicked Benson's head into the 5th row. The fact that Benson survived that, man, legendary old school Benson Henderson has an insane chin to eat something like that. And they rematched in the UFC, and Pettis ended up winning the title against Benson. And then they rematched in Karate Combat, and Anthony won a controversial decision. So Anthony Pettis 3-0 against Benson, twice for belts. Yeah. Shout out to the legend Anthony Pettis. And check this out. This is not something you see every day. The original Anthony Pettis Wheaties box. I got a few of these. I'm going to get them signed by Anthony. But hey, how fucking cool is this? The first ever UFC champion on a Wheaties box. So shout out Anthony Pettis. You made history. So Conor McGregor was getting some training in. I need y'all's opinion on this. Was this guy who was doing jiu-jitsu against the week free trial guy? Y'all let me know. I mean, Conor easily passes a little neon belly. That's not the prettiest neon belly you've ever seen, but you know, controlling the wrist here. This is more control than anything. He's not looking to set up any subs here. Buddy on bottom goes to turtle. Doesn't know about the fat man roll. So, but no, that's credit to McGregor. McGregor had his hips down nicely. He wasn't getting rolled in that spot. And now, you know, McGregor's got options here. Oh, he rolls to armbar on this one. Gets it, insta tap. You know, who exactly was this guy he was rolling with? Like, it's like he's surrounded by yes men. That guy was. Now, if that's a real roll, then that's sad. If that's just drilling, no big deal. But Conor wrote a whole novel about it. Check this out, man. Now, I'm not going to read all this. I don't got time for all this shit. But like, how are you going to write this whole novel about you rolling with the with the free week trial guy? And it was funny. My boy Connor Burks, shout out ATL's own Connor Burks, goes ahead and ratios Connor. I ain't reading all that. I'm happy for you though, or sorry that happened. I'm gonna like this right now. That's fucking hilarious. Because seriously, bro, you're going with some. Is this dude a wipeout you're going in there with? Does this guy even know what he's doing? And you're writing this is not a paragraph. This is a novel. This is like a short story. Like you can go and sell this in Barnes and Noble. Like, oh my God. Yeah, man. I hope Connor's okay. Because like, why are you writing short stories about some wipeout you rolled with? In other news, there's been rumors surrounding UFC featherweight champion Ilia Topuria that he might potentially be done with the featherweight division and move up to 155 pounds. This is what his coach had to say in a recent interview with Submission Radio.
He hates that weight, you know. He do it a lot of times, and it's very hard there. Every time we do it, he don't want to do this anymore, and that's why I want to go up to the next weight class.
I get it. They're just saying that basically Ilya's starting to struggle with the weight cuts big time, and it's super draining for him. The issue I have is I think he might be a little bit too short for 55s, but then again, with the skill that Ilia has, who am I to count out a guy like Ilia Topuria? But Ilia then tweeted that might not be the case. Like, check out what Ilia tweeted. So Ilia said, "I will not leave the title vacant. The decision to move up to the next category is entirely mine. I haven't had any conversations with the UFC yet, so everything is still to be decided. Stop celebrating because I'm not going anywhere. I've conquered my division and I will do the same in the next one." So clearly he wants to move up to 55s, but I still think he's got unfinished business at featherweight. There's a fight out there with Evloev. Everyone's always wanted to see the undefeated Topuria take on the undefeated Evloev. Diego Lopez has obviously been doing his thing, and I know Volkanovski has been clamoring for a rematch. So I still think there's fights for Ilia Topuria at 145. But man, going up to 55s as an undefeated champ, I mean, immediate title shot, #1 contender fight. Either way, Topuria is in a great situation, and let's see what direction they go in. So one of the best prospects outside the UFC, Bibert Tumenov, the brother of former UFC fighter Albert Tumenov, just went out there and starched former PFL lightweight champion Raush Manfio in emphatic fashion. Check this out. Man, just slumped him against the cage. Absolutely devastating fashion. And Bilbert's known for these kind of knockouts. I mean, this is a guy who's absolutely killing it outside the UFC. And I want to see him in the UFC, but he's one of those guys, and I'm sure he's got a very good contract set up wherever he's at, and he doesn't need to come to the UFC. But if he's open to it, we'd love to have Bibert Tumenov in the UFC. This guy is destructive. He's 14-2 overall. He's won 8 of his last 9 fights. He's 27 years old. He's got 10 knockout wins on his record. Bibert, you want to come to the UFC? We'd love to have you in the UFC, Bibert. So I'd love to see the headhunter make his debut with the MMA leader in 2025. That'd be great. In other news outside the UFC, former Bellator middleweight champion Alexander Storm Shlemenko just went out there and he's still winning fights at 40 years old. This man is on a 5-fight win streak. He just beat Anatoly Tokov, who is an absolute stud, by split decision. And it's just cool to see a guy like Shlemenko, who we've all been watching for years. Shlemenko was Peter Yan before Peter Yan, just at middleweight, not at bantamweight. But man, Storm Shlemenko, 40 years old, 5-fight win streak. God damn, 67 wins total. It's amazing to see this guy still trucking on at this ripe age and doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon. So Alexander Shlemenko, keep doing what you're doing. So we recently announced that Vadim Nemkov's last fight with Bellator PFL was going to be the trilogy against Corey Anderson. But now Corey Anderson's coming out saying that Vadim is making trouble about taking this fight. Look what Corey said. So Combat Sports Today posted this. Corey Anderson says his fight with Vadim Nemkov is off. Nemkov's team originally agreed to the fight, but declined because Anderson was allegedly too tough of a fight. I mean, he beat this dude's ass last time they fought, so I'm not sure if there's any truth to that. But this is exactly what Corey said. He said, fact check me. Fight's off, and according to Bellator PFL, Nemkov was being a crybaby about the fight. They agreed, then declined because I'm too tough of a fight. Again, fact check me. But wait, there's more. He wants to stay on the card, but wants to fight a lesser opponent. Last time we fought, his cameraman said I was easy work and didn't deserve to fight him again. Then after I earned it, his cameraman then said he was now too big to fight light heavyweight. Well, at Moment Catcher, I guess that's the cameraman. What's y'all's excuse now? I came to heavyweight and y'all still running from the fight. I told Ariel Helwani earlier this week, I think he went to heavyweight because he's scared to fight me. Well, now I know he's scared to fight me and got it in writing. Remove this man from the rankings and make him sit like everybody else who's trying to get fights. As for me, time to get home and enjoy the holidays with my family. Scared money don't make no money. I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but to imply that Vadim Nemkov is scared of Corey Anderson when he literally put a clinic on him last time they fought is pretty ludicrous to me, but I could understand why Vadim would say, you know, this is a dangerous fight. I've already beat this dude's ass. I'm on the last fight of my contract. I want to get to the UFC. I don't want to fight in PFL and Bellator and stuff anymore. And the co-leader that has amateur fights on their card, I don't want to be part of that anymore. I want to fight in the UFC. PFL, please release this man. Let him come to the UFC. And someone else that asked for a Christmas gift and being released from their contract was Bellator bantamweight champion Patchy Mix. Look what he had to say. So Patchy Mix tweets out, my manager told me to hold off, but haven't heard anything from PFL, Don Davis. If you're not going to have me fight, then please just release me from my contract. This is not what I want. But if I'm not important to the company, being a multi-time champ, then let me go respectfully. I mean, no disagreement here. And he even wrote that something about Christmas coming up and he wanted a Christmas gift by being released. But I think that tweet has since then been deleted. But hey, give this man a Christmas gift. Let him go fight the best of the best. He's clearly not happy with this PFL Bellator stuff. Not that many are happy, but yeah, let's get Patchy Mix in the UFC. So speaking of PFL and Bellator fighters coming to the UFC, in a recent interview with James Lynch, shout out James Lynch, he interviewed Jairzinho Rozenstruik, and Rozenstruik said his teammate Rizvan Kuniev, the former PFL heavyweight champion, is making his UFC debut in February against Curtis Blaydes. Now, a lot of people are going to say, how's this guy just coming to the UFC and immediately fighting Curtis Blaydes? Well, those people just don't know what they're talking about because Rizvan Kuniev did beat the PFL heavyweight champion, Renan Ferreira, decisively, went on Contender Series, won that fight. And it's just pretty evident to the matchmakers that you don't got to put this guy through, you know, the ringer to make it to the top 15. Go ahead and throw this guy in there with some top 15 guys and see what happens. And Curtis Blaydes is a gatekeeper. You know, Curtis Blaydes can never win that big fight, but he's always held a spot in the rankings. So let's see how good Rizvan Kuniev is and see what happens between him and Curtis Blaydes. UFC middleweight title contender Khamzat Chimaev recently posted that he went bunny hunting with some semi-autos. I mean, my boy Khamzat wasn't out here with a bow and arrow, with a marksman rifle, with a sniper. Nah, he went out there with some semi-autos. All those bunnies were straight up running like Bugs Bunny, man. And Khamzat wasn't even like one shot, one kill. He was just like boom, 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 boom.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal. And a Happy New Year.
Hey, Khamzat, if that's how you hunt your bunnies, go for it. But look, there's not much of a bloody mess. Maybe the guy's got a great shot, and I wonder what he's going to do with them. You're going to make a rabbit stew, Khamzat? I guess this is what this man does when he's not in camp, because they did give the title shot to Sean Strickland against Dricus du Plessis. Khamzat's going to get it at some point in 2025, but in the meantime, he's hunting bunnies with semi-auto. So do you, Khamzat? So former UFC heavyweight Greg Hardy has been taking a lot of fights outside the UFC ever since his release, and they have not quite been going his way. Just this past weekend, he went to Russia and he got smoked against cruiserweight Alexei Papin in Moscow. Check this out. Look how big Greg Hardy is. God damn, that's a huge heavyweight. But being that big, he's going to be super flat-footed, a little bit on the slower side. And you can see this dude, Alexei, that's a real boxer. Oh, man. Oh, damn. Like, he's just going right after him. You can tell whose realm it is, even with the size difference, right? And then here, it's about to be the finish of the fight, and he just slumps him in a way where it's like, oh, the legs just go out. There's no coming back. Bring in the smelling salts. Bring in the oxygen tank. Like, bring in the stretcher, because Greg Hardy got knocked the you-know-what out. I wonder why Greg Hardy keeps fighting, man. Well, then again, where else is he going to make that kind of money in, a couple minutes or less? In other news outside the UFC, one-armed MMA fighter Marnie Max had a nasty first-round KO over the weekend. Check this out. I mean, straight up, one arm, Nick Newell style, way smaller than his opponent, is going out there. I mean, to be the other guy, you already are like, man, I'm up against it. Look at that high kick. Yo, look at that high kick the buddy just threw. Flying knee. Oh, slumps him with the right hand, throwing with the nub. Like, god damn, dude. This Marnie Max dude is mean. Hey, shout out. Let's see that again. Like, this dude is a killer and very inspiring too. One arm, that's how you treat Da Silva. That was the name of his opponent. Look at this. So look at this left high kick by Marnie Max. Boom! Right hand hurts him. Flying knee. Hits him with the nub, and then the right hand follows up. Yeah. Marnie Max, hey, you're a bad boy. You're a bad boy. Never heard of him until now, but now I know exactly who this kid is. So I'll be paying attention to him. Obviously, we don't know what the ceiling is for a guy like that, but what we do know is that we're very inspired by people like that he's not making excuses. He's not blaming shortcomings. He's getting in there and fighting his ass off. So we salute you, Marnie Max, and keep doing your thing, man. So the man unanimously regarded as the Bellator GOAT, Patricio Pitbull, has been going on his social media and saying like pretty much everything but he wants to fight in the UFC ASAP. Check this out. So you just go to Patricio Pitbull's X profile, and the first thing he retweets is from MMA Fighting saying, who wants to see Patricio Pitbull in the UFC? Then he's quote tweeting Gilbert Durinho. Gilbert Durinho says, it would be amazing to have Patricio Pitbull in the UFC, about time. Patricio quote tweets it and says, I'll be there pretty soon, my friend. Thank you. And then you have him retweeting from our friend Nolan King. Patricio Pitbull tells me his contract with PFL doesn't have much time left on it, so he sees a UFC jump as inevitable in the coming months regardless. But how did things get so sour between PFL and the Bellator GOAT? He explains here. So you can click that article, read my boy Nolan's article, and explains exactly what happened. And yeah, what kind of matches would you all want to see with Patricio Pitbull? I know a few years back, Patricio versus Volk, Patricio versus Max were very enticing fights, but now, time has moved on. But then again, he's around the same age as those guys. So yeah, what kind of matches do you all want to see with Patricio Pitbull should he make his UFC debut in 2025? And last but not least, Dana White says that Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall for the UFC heavyweight title is the fight he wants to see the most in 2025. Don't just believe me. Check it out on ESPN. This is ESPN, not ESPN MMA. This is the straight up ESPN. And they said exactly what I just said. Dana White wants to see Jon Jones versus Aspinall next year. That's the fight he wants to see the most. So like I've been telling y'all, I do predict that fight is going to happen in 2025. Don't listen to all the noise and all the outside stuff. Apparently, in the negotiation room, Jon Jones is a completely different person than what he portrays outside of it. So I'm still super confident we're going to get that Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall fight for the undisputed UFC heavyweight title in 2025, and possibly sooner than you think. Well, that'll do it. Thank you so much for checking out episode 4 of This Week in MMA. I'll be back later this week for the annual year-end show. You know, best knockout of the year, Jay Perrin jobber of the year, stun of the year, et cetera, co-hosted by my good friend Andrew Gambis. So make sure y'all tap in on Wednesday when we do that. And thank y'all so much for all the support, the feedback, even the hate I got from the TJ versus DJ stuff. I'm truly grateful that y'all are so passionate about the sport and y'all let me know what you truly think. But just know I will always shoot straight with y'all. I'm not going to bullshit you. And I'm going to tell you the truth, whether you like it or not. So I'm so grateful for all the feedback and the 150K views on TikTok of that clip. So thank y'all so much for that. And until the next time.